Good afternoon, Capra here with your daily recap for this Friday, June 23rd. Hope you guys had a great trading day, trading week. It certainly was interesting here at the end of the day. S&P, you can see here, still closed inside of this range. Little green here for the day, but still squeezed between the 8 and the 21 day, so not much has changed in that perspective. Looking at the Qs, they were a bit stronger. IBB continued to show strength. We'll take a look at that here in a second, but the Qs are still strong. You can see they actually poked up above yesterday's high before closing just below it, but they still are indicating like they want to push on up here as well. So overall, definitely a positive day, but again, like I said, with the S&Ps, they're still stuck within a sideways range. So until they can clear that one way or the other, it's going to be a lot of the same conversation there. Interesting for financials, though, they, after gapping up, sold off and were weak throughout the day. They're still in this pullback territory right around the 50-day moving average here, so about a 50% retracement. So they are set up in an area where you would look for demand to start coming in, and we'll see if they do begin to push higher here on Monday. But taking a look specifically at names like JPM, you can see here was a bit of a head fake where it did gap up and push higher at the open before then coming back in closing week. So I really would want to see this hold in where it's at and not dip much lower, certainly not go below the 50 and 21 day, which are right down here around, what's this level here, about 86 and a quarter. So wouldn't want to see that breached. Goldman looks frankly a lot worse, as it's now down to the 200 day, but honestly looking a lot worse. And then Wells Fargo, not looking that great either, but a little better than Goldman. So anyway, you can see financials were weak. Transports, they were strong. They pushed back up here, had a pretty good day. FedEx was once again one of the leaders here as it continues to move higher. So following earnings earlier in the week, they're looking good. And then just as far as some of these airlines go, really we're pretty quiet. LUV continues to be one of the better names out there. So we'll see how they continue to fare. But oil was pretty quiet here today, not doing a whole heck of a lot. So really just taking a bit of a rest here as it sits below the 8-day moving average. As I said earlier, we'll see if it can continue to fall apart here. But flipping back to the bios here, as I said, they were strong after a bit of weakness during part of the day. They were able to recover, closed up near the highs, so they're holding themselves together nicely. As far as some individual names, I mean, Tesla continues to look pretty good here. Looks like it wants to move higher. Twitter was really strong once again today. It's now right into this prior high area, so if it can get through this, it really starts to open the door to much more demand, and probably you'll start to hear more people talking at that point. So we'll see how that plays out. Another strong one was Groupon. Big volume day here for Groupon, and a lot of this came at the end of the day here. We'll take a look at the 15. You can see that while it was strong at the open, there was a good bit of demand that came in here at the end of the day with that volume. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here with Groupon going into next week. Definitely an interesting series of events there into the close. And then another interesting name here was Whole Foods. Wells Fargo was rumored to be looking to maybe make a bid for Whole Foods, but you can see then at the end of the day it had this big tail off when that news came out that they were not considering submitting a bid for Whole Foods. So things came back to where they had started the week. So overall, it was interesting action there. And then one other strong place of movement or action was retail, which has been weak but got a little bit of a bid here underneath it today. So retail had a bit of a bounce. Gold continuing to slowly work its way higher. I think it's going to be vulnerable, though, next week, so we'll see how that plays out. Anyway, it was an interesting week. It was an interesting day. Hopefully you guys made some money, and we'll see what happens for next week. But like I said, that S&P still range-bound is going to make any real decisive action tough here, so you just got to remain tactical, see where the action is, and be selective in that regard. So until next week, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.